really taking the time to craft the why of why this is necessary for us right now. For me, that helped unlock the resources and the budget, got my exec team really excited at that point as well, too. I believe in being data informed, not data led. Never in my career have I felt like there is like a perfect pathway led by data to what the decision should be. Usually it is part intuition, part data and insights.
Hi, I'm Jason Harris, and you're listening to Soul and Science. Fast forward your marketing mind in about 20 minutes. Hello, today I'm speaking with Jenny Lewis, CMO and President at The Knot Worldwide, where she leads all marketing, insights, and editorial initiatives for the company and its 19 global brands that reach across 16 countries. Before her role at The Knot, she spent 7 years with Uber. She started as one of the earliest marketing hires and ended as their director of marketing, helping transform the startup into an iconic household name. You've probably heard of The Knot, and you think about it as a hugely popular website for wedding planning, but today you'll see there's much more to the brand than just that. In this episode, you'll learn how Jenny has harnessed the power of being a generalist in her marketing career. You'll hear about why it's so important to engage in active conversation with your customer base in order to stay authentic in the space. You'll learn a new term, which is FOMO's meaner cousin, FOMO, or fear of messing up, and how they acknowledge it in their products, visual language, and brand voice. And we'll talk about the importance of a full funnel marketing team and strategy when it comes to growth. All right, let's dive in and fast forward our marketing minds. Before we get into The Knot, I want to know, you had worked at an agency, you worked in media, you worked at Uber, and now you're at The Knot. Before all of that, what did you think you were going to do for a career? Did you think you would become a marketer? Was that something that interests you, or did you fall into it?
I completely fell into it. I laugh about it now, but I think it speaks to kind of like the blind optimism and ambition of a teenager. I wanted to be president of the United States. If you asked me when I was 15 years old, I was really interested in politics. And I think part of the interest was stoked by, I loved the TV show The West Wing and idolized CJ Craig. And so was always somewhat interested in like the narrative of politics, the framing of it, the art of the press office and the press room. And so I actually went to college in DC, to George Washington University to study political communication. And that was my plan. I was a politico and was really interested in that path. When I was at GW, I was fortunate in that I was able to try out a lot of internships while I was in school, since it was a city campus, and learned pretty quickly that politics actually weren't for me, that it felt really divisive, just wasn't sparking joy, as Marie Kondo would say. And but I still loved the art of crafting a narrative, crafting a message, selling through a candidate, and realized that a lot of those fundamentals applied to marketing and advertising, and kind of fumbled into it during an internship my senior year at National Geographic Channel.
Amazing. We did the brand identity for Biden when he ran for president.
Oh, wow. What a cool campaign to be a part of.
Yeah, it was cool. So anyway, that was your first job. How did you fall into that internship at Nat Geo?
Yeah, it was just a job posting that they had at GW, in the kind of the standard career page. And I thought Nat Geo was a really interesting publication. I had a bit of the travel bug at the time and loved what they were doing, and just was gravitated towards the brand first, I would say. And then saw what the role was, and it was in their advertising and marketing department, and was like, marketing sounds interesting, sounds applicable to what I'm studying in some ways, and threw my name in the hat, and was surprised when they hired me as an intern, but I suppose low regret decision on their end, because I was free help, and and learned, really enjoyed what I was doing. And then through that internship, Nat Geo is owned by News Corporation. And so I was able to then relocate to New York and stay within the News Corp group of brands and started working at FX in their integrated marketing department straight out of college. So then I really supercharged my career in marketing from there and caught the bug.
Did you think you would stay in the kind of media entertainment end of marketing, or did you feel like you wanted to branch out from that?
I think I realized pretty early on I wanted to branch out. I am, I do really enjoy media and entertainment. I am a huge pop culture nerd. And so I did enjoy being in that vertical, but something just wasn't quite clicking. And I realized that both in that first role out of college at FX and across some of those brands, and I moved over to the agency side and worked at Undertone for a bit, but still something wasn't quite clicking for me. So I actually, like most kind of lost 20 somethings, decided maybe I should go back to school and started studying for my GMAT and was planning to go get an MBA. Since I hadn't graduated with a business degree, I figured might be good since this seems to be a career path that I'm interested in. Was studying for the GMAT, and actually there was an Uber promotion happening at the time. Uber was really in its nascency back then. It was just Uber Black. They hadn't launched Uber X yet or anything. So I barely knew what Uber was, but they were doing a partnership with Goodwill that they would come and pick up any clothes you wanted to donate. And I was living in this like teeny walk-up apartment in New York and had tons of clothes I wanted to get rid of, but never wanted to schlep them down the stairs and 5 blocks to Goodwill and all that. So thought that was really neat. Had Uber come and do that while I was just, procrastinating, studying for the GMAT. And then something clicked and I was like, wow, that's an amazing partnership. What an interesting brand to work on. And looked on their website and they were hiring for a marketing manager. So ended up applying and the rest is history.
What do you think you're particularly good at?
I think what makes me good at my job is that I am good, not great at most parts of marketing. Mm-hmm. I intentionally have positioned myself as a pretty well-rounded marketer. And there were different chapters in my career that I was I definitely grew up more on kind of the brand product marketing side of the house, certainly not a performance marketer by any means, but I've dabbled in all of it at some point, including email marketing and CRM and doing a lot of paid performance campaigns. And so I think what has made me special is that I can be kind of lethal in most of the functions, but have intentionally tried to harness the power of being a generalist. And so I would say that's my marketing superpower in some ways, is that I don't have just one deep superpower in any one thing.
So the culture around weddings and marriages has shifted quite a bit with younger generations. They don't necessarily have an image of the fairy tale or this is what, is going to happen as I get older. How have you shifted your strategies to reflect the younger generations and how they think about both relationships and marriage?
Yeah, it's an active discussion that we're having, I would say, every day. Gen Z is entering that typical wedding age timeframe right now. And we know the younger generation has been a force for change. And so I think it's on us as the category leader in weddings to help lead the way and help define what that next chapter looks like in concert with this generation. So we're doing a lot of listening, a lot of research to understand their relationship with marriage as well as with wedding, because those are actually kind of two different things. There's a quote that Lizzo said a few months ago, I think it was in Vanity Fair, that was like, I don't want a marriage, I want a wedding. And I think it captures a little bit of what we're seeing. That's the spirit of that generation of like really like wanting the party, wanting to bring friends and family together, wanting to show their love in a way that feels really authentic to them. But the kind of old traditional ball and chain relationship with marriage is changing. So I think that's where we need to hone in. And that's where we're seeing some real opportunity, is to be that authentic player in the space, that we're not trying to, romanticize or fall into the platitudes that we all know from like weddings of the past, like bridezillas and this and that, but really embrace the changing nature of celebration and the changing nature of weddings and marriage, to help couples create a celebration that's authentic to them and what they are and what they represent as a couple.
There's a huge amount of pressure when you plan a wedding because I'm doing that right now and
Hmm.
it's not fun. How does the Knot take that stress into consideration with how you market to that audience? You want to take that stress away or you want to be able to relate to it. How do you think about that when you're marketing the Knot?
Yeah, absolutely. So the team introduced me to an expression when I joined that they call FOMO, that is fear of messing up. And it kind of captures the mindset of a lot of the couples on our platform of huge occasion. For many, it's the most money they have spent on one occasion in their life. And there is this like looming fear of messing up. And that is the anxiety that they feel, that pressure that they feel to plan the perfect wedding. And we're trying to embrace that sentiment and like help, move away from being this kind of sage heritage brand that's just giving you advice and trying to help you achieve perfection, to like kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit, not sugarcoating that this is all going to be easy. We acknowledge there's going to be a lot of ups and downs and there's going to be family drama and things that don't go the way you expected, but helping couples find joy in the chaos and doing so through honesty, transparency, and warmth, and really infusing that into both our visual identity as well as our tone of voice, as well as through the products and services that we offer. And an insight that I observed when I joined the company, it's been about a year now, was a lot of our couples knew who we were, but they didn't really know what we did. And so that I think is a real opportunity for us as well too, because we do have some amazing tools that can help guide wedding couples through that process, but we haven't done a great job at articulating those value props externally.
The Knot is more than just weddings.
Hmm.
How do you think about other moments that the Knot can help with and, marketing that and thinking about not just weddings, but beyond weddings?
Outside of the wedding category, we also have two brands that are particularly exciting for me. One is the Bump, that focuses on the pre and postnatal journey, and the other is the Bash that focuses on party planning more generally outside of just weddings. So a birthday party for your kid and you're looking for a face painting artist or what have you. So creating a marketplace, they're able to find just that. So we think there could be, as we think about again being a champion for celebration in our community, there's many milestones that are these hallmark moments that make us and really are life defining moments. Getting married, having your first kid, creating those big celebration moments with friends and family. So I think there could be something really interesting there as we think about broadening that perspective outside of just weddings into these other major milestones.
I think the Bump is a great name.
Oh,
It's really cool.
yeah.
So do you feel like there's a lot of newer players in the category?
I would say probably the most interesting category dynamic when I think about other players that's happening right now is the impact that social media is having on wedding planning and vendor search and discovery in particular. Many vendors have Instagram pages, TikTok accounts, what have you, that they're displaying what they do and every day. There is just a lot more places to find inspiration, to find vendors through Google search as well too than there's been in the past. And so I think for us, it's thinking about how do we embrace that and make that a part of our ecosystem. We obviously have a lot of data that I think differentiates us, of reviews of past couples that have used that vendor that are getting married, that creates that social proofing. But how we embrace what's happening on social media and bring that into the product or tie it back to our product for that more functional experience that we provide, I think that's going to be something that is going to be interesting to see how we respond to it. It's less about trying to fight against the tide, but how do we ride that wave?
How do you try to keep your finger on the pulse of the industry?
There's nothing I get more value from than talking to customers. And I'm reminded of that every single time I carve the time out in my calendar to do so. So really making time to spend time both with couples and vendors and hearing what they're going through, understanding what they need from us, where we can be most helpful, just gives me so much in return. So I would say that is definitely the number one source for keeping the pulse, both in those individual, in real life connections, as well as through more formal fielding of research and so forth. And we have an amazing market insights team in house that is every single week speaking to couples and vendors and making sure that they get those insights distributed back to the team. I am very much a marketer that is the mindset of like, let's not be precious about data. Let's allow for easy access to insights and data so that my team can make informed decisions and feel like they are able to get all those golden nuggets in their head as they're thinking about their brand strategies.
What do you think is on your worry list as you're steering the brand?
On my worry list right now, I would say that this changing consumer behavior is, I find both worrying but also really motivating. It's just a challenge, honestly, Jason, that I haven't faced in my career. I hadn't worked at a brand that your consumer literally changes every 18 months. Most brands are thinking about acquisition and then a robust LTV strategy, loyalty programs, retention programs. The average engagement is about 18 months. And then that couple hopefully gets married and moves on and doesn't need the knot anymore. And that is a really different mindset to bring to both acquisition as well as retention because you're trying to maximize in such a short window. So when we talk about Gen Z, that is mission critical for us because that is going to be our future customer, not just to help grow our base, but our base is moving on. They're moving into other life milestones and occasions. So just really innovating and moving quickly and responding to the changing needs of this new consumer, both worrying and I think really exciting.
That's great. What is an unpopular but important decision that you've made since being there?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Is there one that you feel like I'm glad I'd made that move, even though people were unsure of it?
Yes. The one that comes to mind first is we are in the process of, and I can tease it, but I can't share it completely yet, but in completely overhauling our visual identity for the Not brand. And that was a pretty early decision that I made coming in. And I wouldn't say that it was unpopular by any means amongst our exec team and board, but it was a little bit of, like new CMO wants a new brand. I think there was a little bit of skepticism of, do we need this? Is it going to be worth all the lift? It's a huge ask from our product team and all of that. And it's certainly a big investment. And I was new and I hadn't built that trust quite yet, but the insights were just so clear and the business case was so clear from where I sat. And so I'm proud that I stuck to my guns and was able to make that somewhat bold recommendation pretty quickly out the gate. And we'll be releasing it in a couple months now to the world. We actually teased it in the Not magazine, so you can get
cool.
a sneak peek of it right now.
That's awesome.
On newsstands, and I'm really proud of it. And I think it's going to be truly transformative as we think about continuing to modernize our brand and speak to this next generation. So,
and when you're making a decision like that, sometimes you have to sell in before you actually do the project. You have to sell in a kind of, concept to do that, or you just get the resources and the money and then you show them the results.
So I think the approach that I took was, and I would say this is pretty consistent with my approach as a marketer and something that I truly believe should be a core competency for all marketers and something I'm actually actively training my team on right now, is leading with strategy. And so I think for me, and the way that I handled that decision in particular, really getting tight on the strategy of why. And I think that's where a lot of Viz IDs in particular can be a little bit choppy, is if you go into it just being like, we need to modernize.
Right.
But you don't really have a clear reason of like, why do we need to modernize? What is that going to do to drive our business forward? What is that anchored to from a 3, 4, 5 year strategy? What's the opportunity? Why is this a call to action for your brand? And so spending a little bit of time in the insights and the data and the trends that you're seeing. And it doesn't, I believe in being data informed, not data led. Never in my career have I felt like there is like a perfect pathway led by data to what the decision should be. Usually it is part intuition, part data and insights. But I think really taking the time to craft the why of why this is necessary for us right now. For me, that helped unlock the resources and the budget. Got my exec team really excited at that point as well, too, when they saw the headroom and the potential in it. And then was able to show them the work as it was starting to come together.
Fill this in. You'll feel like you've been successful in your role
when I have proven the value of having a true full funnel marketing team and marketing strategy. I think that is the journey that we're on right now as a company. Is when I came in, we were very kind of at what I would call like mid-funnel focus. We were very focused on performance marketing and SEO. And then we had like a bright spot of content marketing through our editorial team that was fueling the SEO strategy. But we weren't doing any brand media. We weren't investing meaningfully in brand, above the line advertising at all. And then post conversion, there's a pretty big drop off in terms of our role as a marketing team. We were doing some email and CRM, but not massively and not nearly to the degree that we could be. And so a lot of my vision for the team has been to realize the value of that full funnel and expand the way that we think about marketing and act more like a true full funnel team. And so I would say success for me would be when I've proven why that was the right strategy. And I know it in my bones. I know it because of all my experience. And so it takes time to build though. And I think we're on the right path, but I think really showing that to our exec team, to my team, to our board will be exciting.
Yeah. It's very hard to do that too, because
it is,
especially today when the funnel is getting longer and longer. There's more things to put in the funnel, and you need, generalists and specialists, and it's kind of never ending. Who are some of your role models?
Dare I say Taylor Swift right now?
Oh yeah, that fits in your pop culture zeitgeist.
I know. Yeah. I am definitely. I was actually, that came top of mind because she's just rocking this Eras tour. I haven't been. I have so many friends that have. I'm very jealous. But like Taylor, I'm just like blown away by the work ethic. And then I watched her. I'm a huge fan. Clearly, I'm a Swiftie, and I watched her documentary. I forget the name of it, on HBO that she walked through developing Folklore, one of her albums, and just like the way she thinks creatively and like takes this like little seedling of an idea and turns it into something so incredible. I'm genuinely blown away. So maybe Taylor Swift, and that would be a one right now. And then I think from a more personal perspective, my mom. I know everybody says their mom, but I think I have come to just admire her tremendously as a mom myself, and what, the sacrifices she had to make to raise me and my brothers, and just how hard of a job that was. So I think right now, my mom and Taylor Swift.
All right. Two very hardworking people.
Right. Indeed. Two powerful women.
Yeah. I'm also blown away by the volume of songs that she puts out.
Oh my gosh.
It's like she just cranks them out. It's crazy.
It's incredible.
Do you have a favorite quote or mantra that you go back to or think about or is kind of always in your head?
It's funny because I do, and I have it on a Post-it, and I'm staring at it right now. It is the grass is greener where you water it. And it's something that I'm trying to keep top of mind right now because I'm definitely, as I think many of us are in this profession, like go, go, go. What's the next thing? Bigger, bigger, bigger. And I sometimes need to remember to kind of like enjoy where we are right now and water the grass of where we are and not constantly be looking around the corner. So
I've never heard that before.
Oh, really?
I wonder do you know who said that?
I don't actually.
Okay.
We can both Google it after.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome though. I love that. I love that quote. Where do you feel the most creative or productive, or if you are facing a particular challenge or hard decision, is there a method or a place you go, either an environment or a way that you think or process?
One thing I've definitely learned about myself is that I work through problems out loud, and it's part of what I need in my team is like problem solvers who can debate with me. And depending on what the problem is, it probably is going to be a different person, whether it's, some of my team, whether it's our CEO, whether it's, some mentors or what have you. But just like thinking it through out loud really helps me as I'm processing and not waiting to have like that fully formed thought. And I usually the output's much better because I'm hearing their perspective as well too, and it's changing my own.
How would you describe your business style in one word?
I have a little bit of a story for my one word.
Oh, good. I love a story.
This one word I actually have very top of mind because I did an exercise with an executive coach years ago that he had me run through an exercise that he gave me the prompt of, off the top of your head, what is one time in your life that you were just on it, that you were in like a state of flow, that you felt confident, you had all the answers, that you just feel like you were crushing it. And strangely, the time that I thought of was when I was in high school, and like the world was at my feet. And I just felt like there was no limit to what I was capable of. And so then he kind of had me go through that thought exercise of like, describe that girl, look at her from the outside in. How would you describe her? And the word that I landed on was grace. And like, she was just graceful. Like she could handle like all the tumultuous storms that came her way. She wasn't easily fazed, and she wasn't overly reactive to certain things. And she just was confident in who she was and where she was going. And so I've used like for a lot of the kind of the ups and downs of my career when I'm feeling, and we've all been there, we're sitting in a meeting feeling really frustrated and wanting to kick and scream about something. I think of that word grace, and I try and embody that. And it's really helped me in just honing my leadership style. And I've had my team do that same exercise at a few different offsites previously. And for some of them, it's been a breakthrough for them as it was for me, and just like really landing on the type of leader you want to be and being that intentionally.
I absolutely love that exercise. I started thinking about it as you were describing it. And if people want to follow you, where's the best place to follow you?
I am on LinkedIn as Jenny Lewis, and I'm on Instagram as Jen Lou with 2 W's.
2 W's. Okay. Well, we're glad you didn't become president so you could share your knowledge with us today on marketing and on the Soul and Science podcast. So thanks for being on. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, Jason. This was fun.
Soul and Science is a Mechanism podcast produced by Maggie Bowles, Ryan Tillotson, Tyler Nielsen, Emma Swanson, and Lily Jablonski. The show is edited by Daniel Ferreira with theme music by Kyle Merritt. And I'm your host, Jason Harris.